Tori Petrie here for DetroitLions.com. We are chatting with analysts about Lions free agency, about the upcoming draft. And today joining me is NFL Network analyst Charley Casserly, also former NFL GM. Charley, thank you so much for joining us here online today.
Hey, great to be with you. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk a little bit of Lions free agency, NFL offseason with you. What do you make of the moves the Lions have made? How would you assess how well they did in free agency?
Well, let's walk down through, and I want to just make sure I get every one of them here. I've got mine listed here. All right, the offensive tackle, Vi. We're not even going to try to pronounce his last name, okay? But he's a big, strong player. He's got versatility. He can play tackle or guard. So I think what it does, it gives them flexibility, whether they can go put him at right tackle or right guard, depending upon how the development of players are at the guard position. So you got position flexibility. He's a legitimate starter in the league. I think he's an upgrade at the right tackle position over Wagner. So that's a plus there. You got started on there. You got a bookend to Becker. Now, next up here, Jamie Collins. Hey, knows the system. Patricia's familiar with him. It's always important, Tori, to have a coach know a player and know what he can do and what his strengths are and always put him in the right position. Now, Collins is a flexible guy. He can line up on the line of scrimmage over the tight end. He can line up behind the line of scrimmage in a linebacker position. He's a good blitzer. He can help you in coverage. Matt Patricia has a very flexible defense where he matches up against every team differently to take away what they do best. Collins' flexibility will really help him, and he's a playmaker. And what's important, again, Matt Patricia knows the best way to use him. Collins could go to another team and all of a sudden not play well. I think he'll play well there. So that was a positive here. Chase Daniel, hey, it was a disaster last year, right? Okay, when you didn't have a backup quarterback. Daniel is better than any quarterback you had last year. You're not getting a premier quarterback. You're getting an upgrade, a guy who's smart, a leader, can go in and run the offense, knows where to go with the football. So he's a positive there. Then Danny Shelton, hey, the run defense, disaster, right? So this guy's a big physical guy inside. Again, he'll know the system because he played New England. This guy was a first-round pick. Physical guy, stuff to run. He's not necessarily going to be a pass rusher. He may give you a little bit of push. But, again, it's an upgrade over where you were on the inside of your defensive line. Duron Harmon, free safety, knows the system, smart guy. He'll compete for a starting position with your other young safeties. And I just want to make sure I got the names here. Will Harris and Tracy Walker. So you have three guys competing for two positions. But a smart guy can play center field, a positive get for him. Then the big one, to me, the key guy is Desmond Trufant. Slayer's gone, picked up a couple of draft picks. Now, he's counting on this guy to be his number one corner, which he can be, probably better in press. But he's going to be the guy you're going to put on the number one receiver and build your coverage around him. So I like this guy. It was kind of a salary cap cut in Atlanta. I don't think they wanted to lose him, but they weren't going to pay the money that he was getting. So it's a good move for him. It's a good and it's a good move for the team. The team needed to get him, take some pressure off in the draft. Then turn into the draft now, Tori. I see this defensively. Got to get another corner. Another corner would really take this defense to another level. Now, another defensive and outside pass rusher. So when they're sitting at 3, assuming Chase Young is gone, because Chase Young's an automatic. You don't waste any time on that one. Okada is the corner that I think is the logical pick if Chase Young is gone. Then you got two good corners. The pass rush, maybe in the second round, you can find somebody there. It's going to be hard, but I wouldn't force anybody at 3. So corner, pass rusher, those are the two big things on defense. Offensively, if they can get a guard or a tackle to go with Vi, that would be good there. But if they're healthy on offense, I think this is a pretty good offense.
Well, Charley, I think you covered basically all the bases there, running through the free agents, running through how that affects the draft. I'm curious from you, though, I know you wrote about this for NFL.com. As a former GM, what do you make of what GMs and coaches and staffs are going through right now with all the changes to the NFL schedule and what the NFL draft will look like this year?
Well, Tori, I'm fortunate in this perspective to look at this. When I started in the league, believe it or not, we didn't have a combine. Most players you drafted, you didn't have a physical on. How about that one? We didn't have pro days in the spring. They didn't exist. If you wanted to go work out a player, you called them up and went and worked them out. So there's a lot of players maybe you didn't work out. Interviews, you didn't interview everybody. You had to interview the guys you're going to end up taking as you narrowed your draft board down. But you didn't have, like at the Combine, you got 330 interviews. We didn't interview 330 players. We didn't have 280 physicals. So that is a different world back then. So how did you succeed there that can carry over now? The area scouts. Everything came down to them. Now you had cross checks. For example, you have somebody cover the Midwest. All right, he's the area scout. He's responsible for Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin, Illinois, Minnesota, etc. The guy plays 4 years. He should have watched that player for 4 years. He's got the contacts in the office to know the character, know the medical. Right? So he's got that. So you come back to him when you have critical questions. Can the guy play another position? If he's a defensive tackle, can he play nose tackle? If he's a linebacker, can he put his hand on the ground and play full-time as a defensive end? You can't work these players out. So I grew up in an era where you had to make those decisions in that vein. So area scouts are crucial. I think a couple of coaching points. If you have multiple picks, you're going to be a lot smarter because people are going to make mistakes. You'll have a little room for mistakes there. Don't take projections. In other words, if you're projecting a player from, say, wide receiver to tight end, well, maybe you can do it, but you might drop them a little bit later in the draft. If you're projecting a press corner to go play off, I don't know, you can always do that. If you play press, great. Don't expect this guy to do something you don't see on tape. It's a gamble. So you may take less of those situations. Character guys, maybe you knock them back even farther this time because you haven't had as much exposure to them as you would like. So those are some things to me you're going to do. I think the other part of it, Tori, is if you feel real good about your scouting staff, guys in those late rounds from the small schools, you might be a little more aggressive with them in that situation. The other thing is this. When the draft is over, you're going to probably have some guys here that might be better than normal. Again, your scouting staff has got to be crucial here. You got to recruit players in the spring. So when that draft's over, you'll get them to sign with you. And by numbers and a tryout camp, you'll be able to maybe find some players otherwise. Again, if you got good scouts, it's going to come down to them. The teams, this is the last thing, the teams that rely upon the spring to make their decisions, they're out of luck. They're behind. The teams that rely upon their scouts and are ready to draft in February, which you should be, and then use the spring to fill in, those are the teams that have an advantage right now, I think.
All right, so what you're telling me here is that scouting staffs have to go old school this year, and the ones who are better adapted to go old school will do better in this draft. Charley, thank you so much for your perspective today. I really appreciate it.
All right, Tori, it's a pleasure to be with you.